Okay, if you saw my last redstone video, you saw me make this sort of potion brewing design, automatic potion brewer, where it just uses gravity just to dispense the items into the brewing station instead of using a line of hoppers and containers. The only issue was when I was using it with certain items, I think it was the pufferfish for some reason, it would fall faster than the other items in the brewing station, which would, throw out of whack and not make the correct potion or just not make potions at all. And then I started experimenting more. This is like a wraparound design where the droppers will dispense one by one into this hopper, which funnels into that brewing stand. And then, this is just a supply of water bottles. And then I started making a bunch of them. I hooked them up to this one redstone line where I click it there. And as you can see, all the ingredients will start flowing through. I think this is one with, yeah, I think this is a night vision potion or an invisibility potion. I can't remember. But yeah, they will all go off at once. They all get dispensed at once. Yeah, but the problem is there was no way to collect it. I tried doing like a hopper minecart collection system. I tried like doing like a delayed hopper line, but I just couldn't get a good design of it. I'm still experimenting with redstone, especially Bedrock Redstone was like way different than the Java edition of it. It's just kind of finicky. It's hard to learn, especially if you don't know how to do redstone. I don't know how to do redstone that much either, so yeah, it's kind of hard for me to learn. Then I came up with this design right here. It's a one block tileable design. I like the tileable designs a lot. You've probably seen this circuit before in a lot of automatic brewing station design. Pretty much every video tutorial has this little circuit right here. The only main difference is this would normally be a double chest, but it's replaced by a barrel, which brings the dispensers down by one, not dispensers, I'm sorry, droppers down by one block. And in that way, you'll use one less hopper and one less container. Just easier resources, but it is a bit more expensive because it uses copper bulbs and observers, as the redstone output to dispense these droppers and into this brewing stand. So you've probably seen this, you click the button, it'll dispense the water bottles, and then that activates this copper bulb, which turns off, changes the comparative signal, obviously updates this torch and all these copper bulbs right here. And then obviously the observers will detect that and then send a redstone signal out, turn these torches on and off, which of course will turn on these droppers again and then dispense these, items into the brewing stand one by one. Although I believe I have this flipped for some reason. So yeah, once that would finish, you would press this button, and this repeater delay would unpower this hopper and give enough time for it to pull out the items and insert new water balls into the brewing stand. And if we press this button again, you can see it do just that. They get pulled out, they get brought into this barrel. Obviously the system kicks back in and dispenses the items correctly this time now that I fixed it. And I'll start the process all over again. And then you probably see this and wonder where you would put the blaze powder. I usually just like to put like a stack or maybe half a stack of blaze powder in there, because just one piece of blaze powder will make plenty of potions. But if you really want to keep up the supply, you can always put another hopper facing into there with a barrel, or just fill up these hopper slots. Doesn't really matter. I just like to keep it like that just to cut down on the number of hoppers and containers, because if you have too many in one area, it can cause lag, especially in a server. And like I said, this design is tileable, as you can see right here. Have all these different potions all next to each other. The redstone signal does not interfere with each other because of the repeater and torch design. If you were to use redstone dust, then obviously that wiring would get interconnected and might throw something off. So as you can see here, all these have some already. I'm gonna press all these. And see, they can just start on their own again. And if you want to build one module of this for like a 3 ingredient potion, such as, you know, this fire resistance. You're gonna need 13 solid blocks, a brewing stand, obviously, 3 redstone repeaters, a redstone comparator, a wooden button. Can be any wooden button, just make sure it's wooden and not stone, because that gives it enough delay to activate properly. And these ingredients down here will change depending on the type of potion you need. And what I mean by that is this, if you have like a 5 ingredient potion, it's gonna change the number of materials you need. You know, obviously this one has more observers and copper bulbs, but if you're just doing like a standard 3 ingredient potion, it's gonna be 3 droppers, 4 hoppers, 4 barrels, 4 waxed copper bulbs. And this is important, you gotta make sure they're waxed, because if they're just normal, then they will oxidize over time, which will cause, you know, the observers to update that. You know, they check that update, and then we'll send a redstone signal out, and then it's gonna throw everything off. So if you don't have access to honey, I would just recommend just laying them out, you know, in the air, and just leave them to oxidize over time, and then just wait until they're fully oxidized. You know, until they look like this green one. Yeah, if you don't have honey, just wait until they're fully oxidized, and then you can just use it, because it doesn't matter if they're waxed or fully oxidized, they'll still send the redstone signal out. But yeah, 3 droppers, 4 hoppers, 4 barrels, 4 bulbs, 3 observers, and 8 redstone torches. These are the materials that will change depending on the type of potion you make, whether it's in 3 ingredients or 5 ingredients like that one. And if you want to build this for yourself, you can probably just look at it from the side and see the circuitry here. It's really not too difficult. It's all in a 1 block confined space, so yeah, not too hard. But just in case, I'll show you how to do it here now. So you're just going to start with a block, place a barrel on top, place a hopper funneling into that barrel, and just shift click or whatever, place a redstone torch underneath that, place your brewing stand on top, place 2 repeaters facing away from that redstone torch, set them both to 4 ticks, place a block in front, place a redstone torch in front of that block, place a block on top of that one, and then place a block on top of this repeater. So you have this square right here, and then place a redstone torch in this area right here, and then place another repeater with 4 ticks, then place another hopper right here. And this is where you're going to put your water bottle supply on this barrel right here. And then what you're going to do, I recommend putting your droppers first. So dropper on top of that barrel, another dropper, and another dropper on top. This is going to be like the 3 ingredient one. Then you can alternate between hoppers and barrels right here. So place a hopper on top of that brewing stand, then a barrel, then a hopper, then another barrel. All right. Then you're going to place a line of blocks up to here. Then you're going to place a copper bulb right here. Place a block right here. Get a redstone comparator. Place it facing away from that. Place a block right here. Redstone torch. Another block. Another redstone torch. And another block. Now, you're going to end up putting observers facing away. You know, so make sure the red dot of the observer is facing in this direction. All right, and then you're gonna put your copper bulbs facing in front of these. You're gonna place your redstone torches right behind these droppers right here. And that's pretty much the whole circuit done. And then you need to place a button right here. Make sure it's a wooden button. And that's pretty much it. Obviously, you're gonna need to fill in your droppers with all your ingredients, as well as the water bottles. And if you want to make it so that it's accessible to put in ingredients and stuff, I'll say place another block right here. Well, 2 blocks actually. Place a block on the side, place a block right here, and then just place ladders going up. You know, that way you can easily check, you know, your water bottles and whatnot. You can go up here, you can check your ingredients from here. You can be able to reach it from here. And especially right here in this 5 block tall one. And that's pretty much it for the video. You know, like I said, I'm no redstone expert, so if it's confusing in some parts, you know, I'm sorry about that. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns about this, you know, you can let me know down in the comments, and I'll try to respond to the best of my ability. But you know, just know I'm still trying to learn Bedrock Redstone, so Yeah, it's a long journey, you know, painful process, you know, but I'm getting there. But yeah, other than that, see you in the next video.